Good morning, Rav Boisai. Lilui Nishmat Simi Merosi Rusbas Mordechai. Today's your Hayoim. Sphera reminder. Hayoim. Shmonas Yoim Shem Shnei Shavuos VaArba'a Yomim BaOmer or LaOmer. Today's year sponsored by our Leib, Kosowsky, in memory of the Yahrzeit of my mother, Bati Bas Avraham. The merit of our learning be an Aliyah for Neshama. And the Ocean Cove family, Lilui Nishmat, Yona ben Golda Zahava, Jonah Goldschmidt, zoche on his first Yahrzeit, 29th of Nisan. Tomorrow is my mother's Yahrzeit. How do I know that? Because today is Yoma so Bezer Shem, a big Yahrzeit tomorrow. A very, very big Mazel Tov to one of our Chabura who just joined the select club of grandfatherhood, Ari Rosenstein. Mazel Tov, granddaughter. His daughter is not only part of the Daf, but she was also, when we moved to Israel 7 years ago, she's the one that embraced my daughter and they became very, very close. So it's not only a Daf Simcha, my daughter did her here at the Chasana, etc. Great. It's a plug for my daughter. Yes. Rabbi Yisrael, I want to tell you, I received a voice note last night, and I want to play it for you. And I want to give you a Agdama. First of all, when I listened to it, I literally cried. Now, you're not going to cry, and I'm going to hold it together today. The reason why I cried is because it was a show of tremendous, tremendous chesed and concern of one Yid for others, to get other Yidden to learn Torah. As you know, we were discussing Yossi Klein and Ben Schwartz and Matis Steinberg and all these guys from New York. They got together. They bought over $15,000 worth of art scroll Gemaras, and they were giving them out to anybody that said that they want to start learning Daf Yomi. And we're in the 650 range, I think, today. I didn't get an exact number. But a tzaddik from the UK found out that this offer was not outside of the United States. The art scroll didn't want to ship it out. You know, it's difficult to ship out to different countries. So he wrote in an email and he said that he would take on the project himself, him and his partner. So Dov Harris and Eli Posen. You know Dov Harris, your buddy, no? Rabbi Schoenberg, I think they worked together back in the day. He wrote in an email once. So listen to this, Rabbi, it's crazy. 40 people received Gemaras in the UK. But how did they receive the Gemaras in the UK? Dov Harris himself got into his car and drove anywhere in any direction within 90 minutes of his home. 40 different people received hand Gemaras. But how did he do it? He didn't just call up art scroll. You can't call up art scroll in the United States, in the United Kingdom. He called up all the Sfarim stores and he bought out everybody's Gemaras and he went from door to door. Listen to this message. If I could find it here. Oh, here it is. You have to be completely quiet. On YouTube, they'll probably hear it better. But here it goes, if you could hear it.
I tell you what's so geschmack about it, is that for many years I've been the chair of an organization here in the UK called PAL, Learn and Learn. It's pretty much like Partners in Torah in the States. We actually are the sister organization of them, and I've been working with Eli Gewurtz and Romanik for a number of years. They do the stuff there, we do the stuff here, we work together. And Baruch Hashem, when you go round, well, of course there's Haimish Olam here, like there's Haimish Olam in the States, who have taken these Gemaras. But when I go out of town, I travel 30, 40 minutes out, and I deliver a Gemara to a guy who's just learning now for the first time, old guys and young guys, this is Mamish the Messiah. This is Mamish how we're going to see and change the world. And it's so fantastic to see these guys taking it on. It's unbelievable. This opportunity has opened my eyes even further. I thank you for giving me an opportunity to be part of it. Thank you.
Okay. I'm listening to myself again so I can cry again. You guys don't. Basically, he was saying that he was giving out Gemaras, and he's thanking us for the zchus. He was so happy that he had the opportunity to do chesed and to see people that have never learned Gemara in their life. Some of them never opened up a Gemara in their life. Some of them were very old. Some of them were young. Driving from here to there, I thought it was an incredible, incredible story and a display of chesed and Torah together. Another one of the chapters in your book. And let's just read. If you're new to the shir, we read emails in the beginning of the shir in order to get to know people, get to know the Dov Harrises, the Eli Posens of the world. Here's one guy, a great guy from New York, a typical Flatbush guy. You know, one of these stoltzy-looking guys, a smart guy. He also had the Hatzalah radio on him, you know, the whole thing, but a really smart guy, a great guy. And he says, Dear Eli, his name is David Zlatnik. Wow, what an amazing couple of days. I had the zchus to meet you once again in person and attend your live shir Wednesday night in Ben Schwartz's home, Thursday night in Borough Park, and Sunday afternoon in Woodmere. I would have come Matzi Shabbos, it didn't work out. The energy in Achdus was just palpable in each shir, even though it went late into the night. I can only imagine what it was like for you giving the shir like this so late at night for around a month here in the USA. Yes, Baruch Hashem, somebody noticed. To start giving a shir at 12:15 in the morning, when your body's starting to shut down, is not fun. So, okay, one guy noticed. And that's the line I wrote myself, Noam. I stuck it. What an absolute Kiddush Hashem, seeing all the different types of all different ages and Yidden coming together to learn such the sweet Torah of Hashem. Not to give labels, but, I love it, not to give labels, but we're used to seeing Hasidim stick with Hasidim, Lubavitches with Lubavitches, Kalta Litvaks with Kalta Litvaks. Kipas Rugaz with Kipas, he's a shtickle Kalta Litvak, I think. Kipas Rugaz, and so on and so forth. But all of us members of the Shir broke that rule, and we saw all different types of Yidden coming together for Torah. What a Kiddush Hashem is all due to you. Stuck that in there. One thing I've learned from learning the Daf every day since Brachas is that a person can do anything as long as he puts his mind to it. See, people learn different Yahrzeit in life. We truly miss you here in New York, YAWK, and hopefully we'll be able to see you in real soon in RBS with the coming of Mashiach. Don't plan on missing a day until we finish Shas. So, David Zlatnik started with us in Brachas, and I had a few conversations with him, and one of them lasted by Ben Schwartz's home till 4 in the morning. And that is that if he misses one day, he's an all or nothing guy. If he misses one day, he's done with Daf Yomi. So he's very careful not to miss a single day. And I told him, it's a shtus. You are going to miss. It's a question when. It's not a question if. No, he's not going to miss. So we had these arguments back and forth. And I feel bad for him because I'm also an all or nothing guy. And I went through this falling off the bandwagon a number of times. And I'm trying to help him out. Maybe one day it'll get to him. But meanwhile, he hasn't missed the daf since Brachas Daf Beis. All right, so our boys say, here we go. Today is Daf Daled. Top of Daf Daled. And we are discussing the machloikis between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish that we had yesterday. Rabbi Yochanan, as we're familiar with this pasuk, learns the idea of a kohen being mafresh, taking the kohen away from his family, from Yom Kippur, from this pasuk, from Miluim. This is the pasuk of Miluim. Lechaper aleichem. That's Rabbi Yochanan. Rish Lakish argues and he says, no. We learn it from Matan Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu was sequestered for 6 days. We had a 7th day for Tumah, but we get the idea from Matan Torah. Top of Daf Daled Amud Aleph, top line, Omer Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. I understand that I learned it out from Miluim, Hainu Detanya, Zeveze, Mazen Olav, Kol Shiva. Mikol Chatoy Shahayusham. The Kohen on Yom Kippur, and for the Para Aduma, they sprinkle these Kohanim every day from the ashes of the Para Aduma. Now, what is Mikol Chatoy Shahayusham? All the afer of the Para Aduma that was there. So, a little bit of a chiddush here. Not everybody knows this, so we're into chidushim. First of all, there was only 9 para adumas in the entire history. That's it, 9. There's going to be a 10th when Mashiach comes. But it is a very interesting chiddush. When you cremation, take a human being, put him in a crematum. How much ash do you have from? You have like a teaspoon. You have nothing. So how much ash do you have from this para aduma? And what are you going to tell me? You have, let's say, this amount, and you add it to water, but you can't just add to water. It has to be nir al pnei hamayim. You have to see the ashes. And you have tens of thousands of tmei mace. Anybody goes to the Levi, anybody held this? All. So from 9, how do we have? The answer is, big chiddush. You could add as much wood as you want to the paraduma, to the burning of the paraduma. As long as the busser is there, You add and you add truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of ashes. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends a miracle, another paraduma. So it's a sign they have to take this paraduma and make a paraduma. What do you do with all the ashes? Now, to begin with, here, we want to introduce to you my favorite chart, but in large. You take the ashes and you divide them into three. And one of the thirds, they take it and they put it right here on the pink, in the chayil. And that just stays there forever. So, here, let's move it this way. This is the Kodesh HaKadosh on the top, this is the heichal. They put the ashes over here, between the azara and the soireg, right over the chayil. They put the ashes. So they have 9 different batches of ashes. And on that, the Gemara says, Mikol chatoy shayusham. Simple pshat, one pshat. They would take from all 9 or all 3, whatever was in that generation, and sprinkle every day. Aaron HaKohen, when he was doing the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash, they sprinkled him with what? With blood. He was bringing korbanos every day, the miluim, and they sprinkled him with the blood. So we see the idea of being sprinkled with blood, sprinkled with water, with the ashes of the paradum. The Alphas Messinai, but Yerush Lakish that you learn from the idea of Moshe Rabbeinu being sequestered for 6 days. Hazav Sinai mihavet. There's no sprinkling by Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. Nobody sprinkled him. So where do you see the idea of sprinkling? It doesn't make sense what you're saying. Omer Yerush Lakish tells back to Rabbi Yochanan Tamar, Minicha b'miluim dam. Minicha b'miluim dam. What's the connection? Aaron HaKohen was sprinkled with blood of a korban, and now you're sprinkling the paraduma people with water. It's different. Holy Kasha says, that's not a great question. Once, the first time in history, by the Miluim, there was no paraduma yet. He didn't have anything. He didn't have Beis Milah. So they used blood. Once we got the first paraduma running, from then on, it was the water. Everything is sprinkled with the water, the ashes of the paraduma. Back to the question, where do you see the idea of sprinkling? Why are you sprinkling the Kayin on Yom Kippur? Why are you sprinkling on Miluim? There's no sprinkling for Moshe Rabbeinu on Sinai if you're going to learn it from Sinai. This is the third time we're seeing this idea that there's a special Maila. So first of all, there's a Maila, meaning Paraduma, we're familiar with the Maila. Since Paraduma, we were mezalzel in the Paraduma, we treated it improperly. Why? You take a Kayin and you put a sheretz on him, or whatever you do to him, you make him tamei, so people are going to say, oh, this is a weak kind of avodah. So we step it up. We give all these chumras. Okay, that's the Maila Paraduma. What about Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol is dealing with the Shechina. So you have to treat it with great respect, and therefore we do hazah, but enochanami. The what? Baruch atah. Where do you see Maila? Fakert. Sinai doesn't have a zah, right? So you're asking, you should learn from there, from the Maila, that there's no. I hear. Interesting kasha. No, I was asking if in Sinai there was no hazah, so shouldn't you learn for other things that have? How much more? I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu met Panam Apana. He had such a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he didn't have hazah. Okay. I hear. Says the Gemara, Tanya Kabasei Rabbi Yochanan. So now we're going to bring one raya for Rabbi Yochanan and then a whole sugya raya for Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan holds that we learn the idea of to be sequestered for 7 days from Miluim, from the inauguration. Tanya Kabasei Rish Lakish. Tanya Kabasei Rabbi Yochanan, Bezois Yovai Aharin al Kodesh. So we had the pasuk yesterday. We don't have to show the chart, or we could show the chart. Bezois Yovai Aharin. This pasuk is extra. So what do you do with this pasuk? B'meh she'omer b'inyan. B'zois. In those halachas that we're talking about. Mahi. B'inyan de miluim. We're talking about the inauguration. Uma omer b'miluim. B'inyan miluim. What do we say? Aaron pirish shiva v'shim v'shim echad. They sequestered him 7 days to perform 1 day of avodah. And what happened? We have a whole masechta of what a kohen gadol has to do. There's unbelievable amounts of halachas and how many times they wash their hands and how many times they wash their hands and the feet and then the Ketores is this way and that way and going around. Kabbalah, Elachas Rika, and all. So Moshe Rabbeinu had to train him. And from there we learned the idea for all the generations. Sequester him for 7 days, and he performs that by the one day. You don't have Moshe Rabbeinu, but you have the Talmidim of Moshe Rabbeinu. Don't give tzdukim to teach. Why? Because the tzdukim, they hold even when it comes to the Ketores. We're talking about Yom Kippur now. So the Ketores and Yom Kippur, Rashi says that they have a little picture here. Not that it's not an exact picture, but again, Kol HaLashon, phenomenal book. Go ahead, purchase it. It's unbelievable. Here's the Kohen Gadol with the machta of Ketores, all shavaful. Question is, do you put it on the fire outside or do you put it on the coals inside? Tzdukim hold outside. So since they have different ways of doing things, we don't want to learn from them. So 7 days before Yom Kippur, we take the Kohen Gadol and put him in Lishkas Parhedrin. Here we go. Where's Lishkas? Right over here. This is Lishkas Parhedrin. Over here. Call it over here. Okay. And the same way we sequester the Kohen Gadol for Yom Kippur, we do so for the Paraduma. Where? Pnei Abira. We had a machlokes. The whole thing is called Bira. There's a place right over here that's a little bit eastward of the Parhedrin, right over here, and that's where there's a room for the Kohen that does Tzafayin Mizracha. Here, Tzafayin Mizrach. That's Ma'ariv on top, Mizrach on the bottom. I know it's not like an American map where north is on top, but that's how it goes when it comes to Beis Hamikdash. The two Kohanim, the Yom Kippur Kohen, the Para Kohen, they get sprinkled from all the chatois that were there. V'im toimar b'miluim dam hachamayim. How can you learn from Miluim over there was blood sprinkled on Aaron, not water? As we explained before, once we already have there's no paraduma by Aaron HaKohen, but once they were able to get the first paraduma going, from then on, they sprinkled with water, not with blood. Omer, kasher asavayom tziva Hashem lasis. Now, anytime the Gemara says Omer, you know what the question is going to be. Why do you need Omer? Why do you need another pshat? So, what's the second pshat? Kasher, just in case. Where was that over here? The famous pasuk that we keep on going to. This one. Tziva Hashem lasis l'chaper aleim. Yeah, Tziva Hashem lasis l'chaper aleichem. So we have another raya. Lasois l'chaper elo ma'aseh kippur. Now I skipped those 3 words on purpose because Tosfos on Daf Gimel Amud Beis in Dibra Vaska the Rabbi says you have to take out these words as a little reminder for shkalim. Sometimes you take out words because it doesn't make any sense. As Tosfos, Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion that the whole entire pasuk is talking about Yom Kippur and there's no paraduma here. So why would it say over here elo ma'aseh para? There's no paraduma. So Tosfos skips those words and just says l'chaper elo ma'aseh Yom Kippur. Whatever it is, maybe like the guy that wrote the Vilna, the Amon Areim, whatever, sons, whatever, they put it in, they riata, whatever the reason is. L'chaper elo ma'aseh Yom Kippur. Well, it was way after that, but okay. V'hai bezois. Are you telling me that this pasuk comes for something else? V'hai bezois me'boyelei l'gufei. V'par ben bakar l'chatos. V'par ben bakar l'chatos. V'hai lo'ila. It says mefurish in the pasuk. Bakar l'chatos. V'hai lo'ila. What do you tell the pasuk is extra? It's not extra. Amri ila karben l'chudei le'makra bozeh oy be'ela. Think about it. Why are you telling me this pasuk coming to say the idea of prisha, to sequester for 7 days? The pasuk is coming to tell you what the kohen has to bring, what Aaron HaKohen brought, a par and an ayil. The answer is, it's a very nice answer. Look at this. It's a male. It's a ram. How do you say it in Hebrew? You have to use a lashon zachar. Bezeh. Bezeh yavai. With the male, with this male, you're talking about an animal, a zachar animal. Let's just say, with him, not with her. Why does the Torah say bezois with her? With her is referring to prisha. Prisha is a lashon akeva. To sequester in Hebrew, in Lashon Kodesh, that's nekeva. Bezais, with the sequestering of 7 days, and he brings the it's a little nicer than when you speak it out like this. You have to explain. My bezais, shmas mino tarti. You hear from this pasuk 2 things. Obviously, they hear the obvious. It says, it's even in red. The bakar and ayil. That's what the pasuk is going to say. But the pasuk is saying a very deep thing here. You need to be sequestered. Bezais, in that word, be medayik. What's going on here? Because Baruch Hu knows grammar, so why is he using female? To tell us the idea of 7 days of pre-shah, which is lashon nekeva. Okay, so going back, why, if we already have this beautiful pasuk bezais, isn't this enough? Why do I need this pasuk also? What's va'omer? Why do you need 2 rayos from a Torah? Maybe I'll say, Gary, I need a little bit of a clock if you can. I don't need the whole screen. Oh, you don't have to be sorry. Oh, here we go. Shkoyach. Maybe this whole idea is only, look, Aaron HaKohen the first time, but never again. It was a one-time deal. But 1,000 years later, you don't have to have the pre-show. Maybe it's only Aaron himself, nobody else. The Bay pre-show. That's why I need a second pasuk. Because if you're going to ask me on one pasuk, I'll have the second pasuk. Rabbi said, I think it's a beautiful coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. As Shgacha Pratis. We're almost 30 days before Matan Torah. We're going to learn a sugya of Matan Torah, about Shavuos, about Matan Torah. And I guarantee you that there are things in the sugya that will make you scratch your head a little bit. Maybe things that you didn't know about. But the first minute, you have to pay attention here. You have to chap. Otherwise, you might take a little nap for 10 minutes. It's kedai to pay attention here. So, I have it charted that I forgot to show. I'll show it real quickly. Vayaz, that it says that they sprinkled Aaron with blood. Vayaz. How do we know it's for 7 days? It's just the Rashi. I printed out a nice Rashi because it says in the pasuk later, different place. It says that whatever you do on the first day applies to all 7 days. So there you know the idea of sprinkling all 7 days of the Miluim. Okay. Here we go. This is the entire sugya, just in the pasuk itself. It's 2 charts I did here. This is 1, 2. Don't get nervous in the chart. I heard the groaning already. Here's the pasuk. Simple pasuk. Read the pasuk with me. Tell me how you understand this pasuk. Vayishkoin kvoid Hashem al Har Sinai. Hashem Kavyochol rested on Har Sinai. Vayichaseyu ha'anan. What does this word mean? These words. Vayichaseyu ha'anan. And it was covered with a cloud. What was covered? Har Sinai. Simple pshat, Har Sinai. Hashem covered it. Hashem covered it with a cloud. What's Pashup Pshat? L'chayra, like Yosef is saying, the mountain. Sheshus Yamim for 6 days. Vayikra el Moshe, Akash Baruch Hu called Moshe to tell him what? So we have 4 machlokes in here. It's really one machlokes that translates into 4 different things. Vayikra, what did he tell him? What was covered? When did this happen? Vayom Hashvi, when was the 7th day? Mitoy Chana. Vayikra el Moshe b'yom hashvi mitoy Chana. Now, there's a few basics here. What happened? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Klal Yisrael the Aseres HaDibros. That's called Matan Torah. He didn't give them a Sefer Torah. He didn't give them the Luchas. He said the Aseres HaDibros. Anoichi Hashem lo yiyeh lecha. Yeah? By the way, that's those 2 are what do you call them? The people that love themselves a lot. A narcissist. That's a narcissist's favorite dibros. Anoichi, it's all about me. And lo yelecha, you can't have anything. Fine, good, great joke. Next, in the middle of this tough sugya, now you got to break down a little bit. I'm turning his head away from the busha. Happens. Shkoyach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'll give it back. And that's it's Lisigna, if you have to give it back. Okay, fine. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Aseret Dibros. One thing that is, there's a machlokes, and we're going to see, when did that happen? Did it happen on the 6th day of Sivan? This is Rosh Chodesh, this is Chodesh Sivan, this is Tammuz. Did it happen on the 6th day in blue? Or did it happen on the 7th day of Sivan in black? Machlokes Tanaim. Okay. But one thing is clear, that on the 7th day of Sivan, Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim to receive the luchos. Nobody argues in that. And he broke the luchos all the way on Shavas B'Tammuz. 40 days later. From Zion till Shavas B'Tammuz is 40 days. I actually had to put this in. I know some guy's going to tell me I'm a shite. I could have probably just done Control C and filled the whole thing and populated. Fine. I sat there, center. Okay, fine. Great. Now, so from everybody agrees this is what happened. But the question is, did that happen before Matan Torah or after Matan Torah? And it's dependent on this machlokes, when was Matan Torah? Now, if you say that it happened after Matan Torah, that's Rebbe Glili, in green, it happened for these 6 days right here. So then we have a very nice raya to the idea of being sequestered. But if it happened, and that's V'chaiseyo is on Moshe Rabbeinu. So there's different things going on here. Rabbi Yossi Aglili, who holds that Matan Torah was on the 6th. He holds V'chaiseyo ha'anan was on Moshe Rabbeinu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu sequestered him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu covered him with a cloud, like in a room. He put him in a room. Bidud. But if you hold the 6 days were prior to Matan Torah, they were over here, it can't be bidud. You know why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu kept on going up and down the mountain. Hagbel Sahar, stay away from your wife, stay away from the mountain, do this, do that, all different things. He's going up and down. So he wasn't sequestered. So if you hold that was before, here, the blue line, before, no raya. If you hold is after, great raya. Okay, let's see inside. It's not that complicated. So again, we have over here, Vayichaseyo Anan. Let's start from the beginning. Vayishkoin. Rabbi Yossi Glila says, Vayishkoin, when did this happen? On Zion Sivan. So it happened, this whole pasuk. And one big yesod in the sugi you have to say, l'chayra, is that the pasuk is only talking about one thing. Either it's talking about Matan Torah, or it's talking about the luchos, but it can't be talking about two things. So, and that answers a very big question in the sugi. So, it happened, this pasuk happened over here. Zion, it's talking about from over here. But according to Rabbi Akiva, Vayishkoin, Kvaydai, it's talking about over here, Rish Chodesh. That's number one. Machlokes number one, we're not going to go into these machlokes really. The main machlokes that we want to know is by Vayichaseyo Anan. So according to Rabbi Yossi Glili, HaKadosh Baruch Hu covered Moshe. According to Rabbi Akiva, which is the simple pshat in the Bazil Yosef said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu covered the mountain. And there's no raya to being sequestered for 7 days. That's all we want, that nekuda. Vayikra Moshe, what did Hashem want from Moshe Rabbeinu? He called him out of Prisha. He was being sequestered over here in the green, according to Rabbi Yossi Glili. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu called him out of here. Let's come out, I have to give you the luchos. According to Rabbi Akiva, he called him to give him the Torah. It's about Matan Torah. It's not about the luchos. The pasuk is Matan Torah pasuk. And finally, by Yom HaShvi, according to Rabbi Yossi Glili, it's 7 days. When? Not from Rosh Chodesh. 7 days, because the whole pasuk is talking about the luchos. So 7 days afterwards. In other words, right over here. By Yom HaShvi means from here, from Matan Torah, 7 days later. Over here. According to Rabbi Akiva, we're talking about 7 days from here. And that's when he gave the Torah. Okay, let's see inside. Tanya Gavasedi Rish Lakish. 15 minutes. Oyvei. Seems like a lot. I think we did most of the sugi now. Balpet. Tanya Gavasedi Rish Lakish. Moshe Allah ba'anam v'niskasa ba'anam. Moshe went into the cloud. He was covered by the cloud. V'niskadish ba'anam. And that gave him great gedusha. We're talking about a special cloud here. Cloud of gedusha. Why? In order for him to give over, to receive the Torah for Klal Yisrael when he's completely Kaddish. Shenemar, Vayishkoin Kvoid Hashem al Har Sinai, this pasuk right over here. Zehoya Maisa Achar Aser Sadibrois. This is Rabbi Yossi Glili speaking. This whole pasuk occurred after the Aseret HaDibros, right over here. This pasuk started over here, after Vav. He holds it happened in the blue line after here. So, the 7 days were Prisha. 6 days over here of Prisha. Great raya to Rish Lakish. Rebbe Akiva Omer, Vayishkin Kved Hashem, Mirish Chodesh. He was starting from Rish Chodesh. In other words, there was no Prisha. And now we are turning to Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by David, by who? By Badner. What's his first name? Yaakov Badner. Yaakov Badner and Stephen Sokolov. For Dina Tamar, shidduch for Dina Tamar Bas, Esther Rivka, and for shidduch for Sarah Lina Bas, Ga'alda, and our new sponsor, shidduch for Shendel Rachel Bas, Avraham Tzvi. And retroactive, all the times I mention his name without Tzvi, it's Tzvi. Vaychaseu Adam lahar. Vayikra on Zayin Sivan. Vayikra el Moshe. Now you see it says Moshe. Hashem called Moshe. Now if he is giving over the Aseret HaDibros, who did Hashem say the Aseret HaDibros to? All of Klal Yisrael. It says in the pasuk Vayikra el Moshe. Moshe v'chol Yisrael ha'imdim. No, all of Klal Yisrael is there. So why does it say Moshe Rabbeinu? To give him special honor. Now, we're going to see that these two shittas are not arguing with Rabbi Yosef Glili. They go in the shitta of Rabbi Yosef Glili that what? There was a prisha here. We're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu going up to Shemayim to receive the luchas, and there's a prisha. He had to get rid of all the food in his intestines. To make him like a malach. Now there's a discussion. What did Moshe Rabbeinu eat already? He ate man. Man was absorbed into the body. There's no intestines. Okay. Ein Sham. I don't know. It's a kasha. They discuss it. There's answers. I saw Hasidic answers, whatever. Now, says the Gemara, Rav Masya ben Charash Omer, just to point out, who's Rav Masya ben Charash? He's not really brought down in Shas much. He's in a Pirkei Avos. There's a famous line by him. You should be a zon of the Shualim, Aliyah zon of the Shualim, zon of La Rayos, V'rosh the Shualim. Yeah, Rosh the Shual. So, there's a Medrash in Yalkim Shemaini that says amazingly just to describe who he is. Medrash says that Rav Masya never saw a woman in his life. The Yitzhahara was jealous. And he went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he said, what do you think about Rav Masya? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, he's a tzaddik gomer. So he says, give me the right to be machshel. And he said, go ahead. So he dressed up as the prettiest woman, Achos Tuval Kayin. Nama, Achos Tuval Kayin. That's how, and he looked away. So he jumped in front of him that way, kept on playing. Ramasi said, okay, see, I'm going to be nichshal. He took a nail and poked his eyes out. As he's like the medrash. Unbelievable medrash. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Malach Rafal to go be merapim, and he said, no, it's already done. I don't want to be merupa. I don't want to ripui. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I promise you, you won't be nichshal. She said, okay. And he was merapim. This is Reb Masya. Okay, so now that you know who Reb Masya is. Masya ben Charash Omer. Again, I agree with Rabbi Yosef Glili's concept that there's 7 days that is beprisha. And just like before, Reb Nosson says, so I forgot to mention a very important point. Reb Nosson holds, why was the prisha for 7 days? To get rid of the food. So you can't learn to any kind God later generation that you have to be sequestered. It's for Moshe Rabbeinu only to get rid of the food. The same now with Reb Masya. With fear. The Torah should be given with fear. Bereses, with trembling, to shake. When you are Oved Hashem, it has to be biyira, with fear. Vigilu, we have to rejoice, bira'ada. So how's it possible? How can you rejoice and tremble at the same time? My vigilu bira'ada, Omer Ravada bar Masna Merav, b'makom gila sham tehei ra'ada. In other words, a mashal that you could say maybe, it's not a perfect mashal, but maybe it's just to bring it down to a guy, for instance, has a great voice, and his entire life he trains his voice, goes to classes, voice lessons. He's dreaming of showing his voice, and finally gets a spot on the national talent show. He gets up there in front of a 20,000 person audience. He's shaking, he has knots in his stomach, he can barely sing. But he has unbelievable simcha. So the fear is there, but the simcha, like, he finally has the opportunity to show the world, and maybe he'll launch his career. When you meet the Rebbeinu Shalom, it's unbelievable fear. But at the same time, it's tremendous simcha. Here's the Rebbeinu Shalom. So what's the machlokes? What's the side of their whole machlokes? But look at that in Tanoy, the Tanya, when was the Torah given? Going to be in 30 days. So at least we come to Shmooze, we have an understanding what's going on here. Was Matan Torah on the 6th day of Sivan? Rabbi Yossi B'Shiva was on the 7th. In other words, everybody agrees, right over the blue box, that Moshe Rabbeinu went back up to Shemayim on the 7th. That's no machlokes. Machlokes is when were the Asar Sadibros given? On the 6th or on the 7th? Well, if they're giving on the 7th, that means they received the Asar Sadibros on the 7th, and back up to Shemayim to get the luchas. He was just told that Asar Sadibros, but he didn't have the physical luchas. He had to go back up and get the rest of the Torah with it. Like we learned in Shkolim, right? That on the luchas, one man said, all the Torah was written between the words. That came after the Asar Sadibros. Man do Amar b'Shiva nitno b'Shiva Allah. It was the same day. Okay, different size, add it, not. So, Omer explains. This is the Yisod of Machlokes. That's why Rabbi Yossi was forced to say an interesting pshat in the pasuk that doesn't flow the way we read the pasuk, that we're talking about that the mountain was covered. Why is he forced into that? Because he holds that the Torah was given on the 6th. If the Torah was given on the 6th, it says a second later, Vayikra Moshe b'yom hashvi. To do what? The Torah was already given on the 6th. He couldn't have given it on the 7th. And the pasuk is talking about one thing. That answers the question, because you're going to say, maybe Yom Shvi is talking about luchas. And the beginning of the pasuk is talking about Asar Sadibros. No. The pasuk is talking about one thing. So if the pasuk is talking about Matan Torah and that happened on the 6th, why in the world would the pasuk say Shiva? Besides, where's the Anan? The Anan went away. L'chayra. If there's an Anan there until Matan Torah happened, Anan dissipated, he didn't listen to the first minute. Okay, nobody falls asleep in this year. No one. If somebody fell asleep, he didn't listen to the first minute. Okay. V'toichana. Great. You're allowed to fall asleep. I'm sure it never happened. This way. Coming from the son-in-law, trying to stick up for his father-in-law. Givaldi. I love it. Oh, he's thinking it through. He's going through the whole chesed, the 6th. Okay. Yeah. Vayishkoin, says the Gemara. No, sorry. The Torah was given on the 6th. The whole pasuk happened after the Asar Sadibros was given. Vayishkoin for the Hashem al Har Sinai vayichaseu. Who did Hashem cover? Hashem covered Moshe Rabbeinu, and there you see the idea of Prisha. He wanted to sequester him in order to receive the luchas b'kedusha. Vayikra Moshe b'yom hashvi l'kabulei shar Torah. So why did he call him? To get the luchas. The rest of the Torah. Yeah, well, it's also the luchas. No. Before was the Asar Sadibros. And afterwards, Shara Torah, but also the luchas, the physical luchas. And if you say that's like Rebbe Kiva, that the whole pasuk started at the beginning of the month. Lahar. And Rebbe Kiva holds what was covered, not Moshe Rabbeinu, the mountain. Where did he call him from? You have to continue to the end of the pasuk. There was a cloud there. Where did the cloud come from? The whole pasuk already said that he already received the Asar Sadibros. It can't be that it's saying the same thing that it happened on the next day. It already happened the day before. And there's no Anan anymore. How could it be Mitoicha Anan? How could it be that there was a it seems like the Anan went away after Matan Torah. So that's why, because he's forced, because he holds Rabbi Yossi Lili that Matan Torah was on the 6th, so he has to force the pasuk into talking about Shara Torah, the Luchas. Rebbe Akiva who says that the pasuk is talking about Matan Torah, the Aser Sadibros, not the physical, just the Aser Anoichi Hashem. So he could say that the 6 days happened beforehand, and they're not Prisha. 6 days of a cloud covering the mountain, not Moshe Rabbeinu. I know, it's a little complicated, this sugya. It happened on the 7th day, Matan Torah. Okay, so now the Gemara just says, very simple now. From here on out, easy. This works beautifully according to Rabbi Akiva. Here is Matan Torah, and if you count, if you look closely, it starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 40. Where's day 40? Shivasa b'Tammuz. So it works out beautifully according to Rabbi Akiva. Fits in great. There's 24 days left in Sivan from Matan Torah, 1, 2 until 24 here, it ends at 24, right here. And another 16 days of Tammuz, and it happened the next day, he broke the Luchas. There was 40 days that he completed being in the mountain. He came down on 17, he broke the Luchas. But according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, that these green, right over here, 6 days of green, is Prisha. So when did the 40 start? Afterwards. L'chayra. So that pushes off Shavasa B'Tammuz by 6 days. What's the Gemara going to answer? That these 6 are included in the 40. That's it. The reason why you have to speak it out though. So it comes out that the breaking of the luchas that everybody takes for a given, that it happened on Shavas B'Tammuz, there's no machlaikas, actually happened on the 23rd of Tammuz. Not true. The 40, the 6th, these 6th, it actually started like Rebbe Akiva, right over here, 1, 2, 3, we counted. Part of it is 6 days of being sequestered on the mountain. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu took him up after he sequestered, took him up upstairs to get the luchas. Amar, Vayikra el Moshe. Moshe v'chol Yisrael oimdim. So this is what we discussed before. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that Seres Adibros to who? We know that everybody heard them. The whole Klal Yisrael. Mazel Tov, Omer Elazar. Vayikra el Moshe v'chol Yisrael oimdim. V'leba Kosov elachlek le'kavel Moshe, like we said before. So what is mentioned Moshe only, not all Klal Yisrael? To give him honor. Meisvei kol loy. You have to see this. So here's kol elav. So if you see in the Gemara it says kol elav, you know what it's talking about. The pasuk says hakol medaber elav. What should it say? It's grammatically correct to say hakol loy, the sound to him. What's elav? So Gemara darshins kol elav Moshe shama v'chol Yisrael lo yishamu. It's lo yishamu. It's a question. Moshe shama v'chol Yisrael lo yishamu lo kashya. So elav means only he heard it. A love. What? How is it possible? By Sinai, we know all of Klal Yisrael heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu's voice. But when HaKadosh Baruch Hu continued to speak to Moshe Rabbeinu on consistent basis on Oyel Mayed, nobody heard it, only Moshe Rabbeinu. A love, only him. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu call is a louder sound, it's a louder voice, everybody heard it. Habedibur, Vayikra is more of that everybody could hear. Dibur is Vaydaber is only to Moshe Rabbeinu. Reb Zrika, Rami Kroy, Kamei the Rebbe Lazar, he asked a question, a contradiction in the Psukim to Rebbe Lazar. Ba'amri Omer Reb Zrika, Rebbe Lazar Rami. Some say it was Rebbe Lazar himself that asked the contradiction. Ksiv. V'yachal Moshe, v'layachal Moshe lo v'yaloy mayed kishachin olav ha'ana. He couldn't physically get into the. It was a barrier. The Anan, the cloud, couldn't let him in. But he did go in. So what happened? He couldn't go on in his own strength. HaKadosh Baruch Hu schlepped him in. The Beir Yishmol Tana, Nemer Kam B'toich, V'Nemer La'alan, it says by the Anan, it's by the Matan Torah B'toich, within. V'Nemer La'alan, by Kriyas Yamsov, B'toich. V'Yavoy B'nei Yisrael B'toich Hayam. Mal'alan Shvil, just like by Kriyas Yamsov, there's a pathway. D'chsiv ha'mayim lem choyma mi'minam esmaylam, there's a path. Avkan Shvil. Let's continue. Vayikro el Moshe, just 2 minutes. Vayikro el Moshe v'yidaber. Lama hikdim kriya l'dibur. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why was he magdim, calling him, so before talking? People say, where does it say in the Torah, Ma'aseh Shaya, I was by Rechaim Kanievsky's house, and a guy cut the line. So I said, Sasa, what are you doing? He says, where does it say in the Torah, Sasa? Show me. You say it, show me. here you see that the Torah is makbid on manners. But no chaveri manners, simple manners. We have Gemara. Don't spit in front of somebody else. You're going to gross them out. Where does it say the Torah you can't pick your nose in front of another person? It doesn't say don't pick your nose, but just 1 + 1. The Torah talks about manners. You read the Torah, you're learning. Maybe that guy never got to Yoma, that dollar. He's stuck in Baba Kama still. But over here you see, Lo me'ikdim kri l'dibur, lim the Torah derech eretz. He's whatever. Then he wonders why Recham Kanievsky told him to grow a beard. Actually, he had a gizunta one. Lim the Torah derech eretz. Shelo yoymar adam dav l'chaver ken kareyu. You don't talk to your friend until you grab his attention. Don't start talking to him. So the Torah goes into details, how to deal with a friend, manners. Leimar. What is the word leimar? It's 2 words. Loi emar. Don't say this. Omar Rabbi Rabba. If you hear a secret, something from your friend, you don't say it over. Not even a secret. A friend tells you something private, you don't go ahead and say it. It's asur. Leimar. Loi emar. Do not say it. Have a wonderful day. My son-in-law, I told him that. I told him that. Ooh, I didn't even turn on Zoom. Was Zoom on? You can take one, but it's for cars. No. Not because I want it. I just never. Hi guys. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I took a picture of the Talis bag.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
Someone just asked if you wear stainless like a Talis bag.
Wow, Yossi Schloss, Mark Steinberg. I can't hear anything. Yeah. Sure. What? You're right. Last night. A gross zchus. I don't hear anybody. I hope I'm not interrupting. I just want to say big Shalom Aleichem to David address. Did I just step on somebody's thing? I have no idea. I can't hear anything. Can't hear. You jumped out of bed. Yishkoyach David. I saw the enthusiasm. You made it to Yeshiva World News. It's geschmack to do it. It's geschmack to do it. Somebody said he's gonna. What? Not to disturb the Omer? Put my towels over there. Why is my towels here? Put my towels before somebody. It's great to be back, mamish. Listen to this great idea. You know those pictures I showed yesterday? The pictures I showed yesterday of the guys in New York, whatever? Put them on the wall. And we'll start growing the wall. We're saying it's empty what? It's a great idea, no? Oh, Moreshet?